Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about official Medicaid cut numbers and a really important question from a Republican. There's been quite a few news items that have provided vindication for people who understand math lately and who have been repeatedly trying to explain that congressional Republican math doesn't math. When we tried to explain that Republicans would have to make deep cuts to Medicaid to keep their tax cuts and avoid sending the debt through the roof, Republicans said that wasn't true. Then the Congressional Budget Office released their numbers and showed yes, they have to make the deep cuts. Then we tried to explain that the cuts were so big it would require kicking people off of Medicaid. Republicans said no, it would just be waste and fraud. Well, the Congressional Budget Office has released its estimates. Millions of Americans will lose their health care coverage so the GOP can get its one big beautiful bill and tax cuts that primarily benefit the wealthy. The CBO went over several options being entertained by the GOP. The least damaging only remove 2.3 million people. To be 100% clear, this is not fraud, waste, or abuse, and this is not from Democrats. This is the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. This is the GOP cutting the program's funding so deeply that millions of America's most vulnerable will be left without, so Trump's friends can afford their second slip payment for their yacht. The option that is least damaging will also not get them the cuts they need to keep the tax cuts and avoid drastically increasing the debt. So you'll have to pick another option and add to it. I'll put the CBO report down below. Going over the different options, your most likely minimum scenario is 8.6 million people losing Medicaid and 3.9 being left uninsured. I actually think it'll be higher than that because they'll apply other options. But I can't give you accurate numbers because there would be overlap between the Americans hurt by option 2 and option 3. As an example, there it is, official numbers, millions. The billionaire does not care about you. And this brings us to a question from one of our Republican metal shop guys. Quote, when you talk about the House budget, you talk about the faction that wants to cut Medicaid and the faction that wants to blow up the debt to give tax cuts to the rich. I don't want people to lose their health care. Which faction doesn't want to take away people's health care or blow up the debt? Can we talk about them? Well, there's only one faction in the House that fits that description. They're Democrats. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.